And so as Sean mentioned, he and I met briefly after I was able to present some of my findings for a partnership that I had with Black Innovation Alliance. I partnered with them. As he mentioned, I am the director of research for Plexus, which is an enterprise SaaS product that we are currently in the developments of building the MVP for, led by Sherelle Dorsey, who was the former founder and CEO of The Plug, which was a data and insights firm that focused on Black tech and innovation. We recently closed down The Plug last March to focus and hone in on Plexus. One of the things that's unique about Plexus is not only are we creating this database that highlights Black founders, not within just the tech space, but across the entire ecosystem, different verticals and industries, and highlighting them to put them at the forefront of different opportunities, whether that's investments or partnerships with brands or retailers, whatever the case may be. If you think of like a Crunchbase or a PitchBook, these are, it's going to be along that realm, but we're highlighting very diverse companies as well as social impact. Another vertical or another avenue of Plexus is we create custom primary research studies for our different clients. And that's what I'm going to present today, some of the findings that we presented to our clients at Black Innovation Alliance. So just a little bit about me. I know he kind of gave my spiel. I am a proud graduate of the Florida A&M University as well as Purdue University. Some of the brands or organizations I've either worked with or have been affiliated with are listed on the screen, heavily focused on media and tech. And some of my specialties are qualitative and quantitative insights, as well as understanding primary and secondary data. And with all of that, being able to provide action-oriented solutions and deliverables to clients in order to produce any type of product, service, or initiative. Some of my recent work, one, the BLADE 2.0 report that I will present the findings for, as well as the Black Tech Effect, which is a report that Plexus produces annually with the Omidyar Network, and it highlights 100 Black founded tech organizations or tech companies that are high growth, high scale, and are getting the visibility. When you think of like the Fortune 500 or the Essence 100, this is a report specifically for Black tech industry. As well as State of the Pledge, which we highlighted some of the initiatives and commitments made by large tech corporations after the death of George Floyd, and seeing where they were on those commitments. We released that in June of 22. So understanding the project background. Again, this report was conducted for the Black Innovation Alliance. It's called the BLADE, which is Black Liberation and Digital Economy. And it explores how Black entrepreneurs are able to create wealth through digital initiatives. And this was the first report ever. BIA created it in 2022, the summer of 2022, and they identified 8 different domains that will target or help Black entrepreneurs create wealth within the digital space. When they approached us with a few questions that they wanted to explore as we were able to delve into those 8 different domains. Were there any distinct differences or disparities for the demographics? Also, how are Black entrepreneurs able to harness these digital entrepreneurships in order to create wealth creation and close the wealth gap? What support is available for these entrepreneurs as they're starting their businesses or if they're looking to scale them? And so within this report, we were able to answer some of those questions. Here's a little bit about the study design and methodology. We use a 3-part component of how to build out the report. The first was we conducted one-on-one interviews, virtual interviews with 15 Black digital entrepreneurs within those 8 domains. The second was to conduct a survey utilizing not only our distribution or our network, but creating ads in order to generate responses from Black digital entrepreneurs. Now, if you're familiar with primary research and survey distribution or survey design, you know that it is extremely challenging, especially for a small firm like us, to conduct any type of survey or get this type of response, especially when we're talking about getting data or information from Black participants, because, you know, we're very private. We don't want people in our business. And so this was a success to be able to get almost 1,000 responses from Black digital entrepreneurs. It's such a niche and small segment, but we were able to generate this type of response. And it's because these entrepreneurs are excited and are willing to share their information because, similar to myself, they want to create some type of blueprint or pathway for not only themselves, but future entrepreneurs.
Mm.
Go ahead.
As an impressive, Lord knows, if I can get everybody just on this call to fill out a survey, it was tough. So
Listen,
yeah,
so
nearly
you
900.
know. And lastly, we conducted our own literature review just to understand what type of information or insight is already out there based off of this particular report. And there's a lot of information around entrepreneurs, around digital entrepreneurship, but there wasn't anything combining the two for this particular segment. As well as generating wealth. And so the pathway to generate wealth. This is the sample, or excuse me, this is the qualifications that were needed in order to qualify for either the interview or the survey. Of course, you had to be a founder. Your business had to be in operation for at least a minimum of 1 year. You had to identify as either Black or of African descent. You had to be 18 years or older. You had to fall within the 8 domains, which we will review, and you had to be US based. The reason why we selected US based was because that's what the client recommended. They are a coalition of Black digital Black entrepreneurs. And although they have a global print where they're working with other entrepreneurs in other countries, right now their membership base is solely focused on US founders. The 8 domains that fell within our category, these are the percentages represented. And so we had the highest concentration of respondents in the content creation category, which doesn't come as to a surprise. Anyone could be a content creator. I could be a content creator. And so you kind of interpret that description as you will. These were not mutually exclusive, and so you can identify as a content creator as well as falling within the gaming and esports category or falling within DeFi. So you could have selected all 8 of them, but we asked each of the respondents to identify what their primary industry or domain that they fall within, and content creation fell as number 1. Any questions so far? I'm trying to monitor the chat as well. All right, we got some more silvers in here. Okay. Okay. Where are we finding these Black entrepreneurs? And so we found these Black entrepreneurs utilizing our distribution list, as well as the distribution list and network of Black Innovation Alliance. Again, they are a group or a coalition of Black entrepreneurs, and they identify as ISOs. And I'm drawing a blank on what ISO stands for, but they create their own organizations for their specific domain. So for instance, there is an organization within Black Innovation Alliance that solely focuses on founders that graduated from HBCUs. And so we were able to use that distribution list to have them participate. There may have been one specifically for Black women founders. And so we were able to utilize their networks or their distribution as well as our own. And we created social media ads. We did pushes on LinkedIn and just different email distribution lists. So we were able to expand our reach in order to generate these, in order to find these particular entrepreneurs. And yet we did use accelerators. We used Black Ambition. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Black Ambition. They are founded by Pharrell Williams, and the CEO is Felicia. I'm drawing a blank on her last name, but we were able to utilize them. We were also able to utilize Goody Nation, which is a tech-based foundation through Joey Womack, and just other acceleration or groups that we were able to leverage. Right. This is a sample overview of the profile for our demographic within the survey specifically, not the interviews. And so 58% of our survey participants were male, average, or excuse me, the median age was 35. 73% were married, and 78% had a household income greater than 149,000 annually. All right, any other questions regarding the methodology or participants before I'm able to dive into the findings? I think that was the last question. Okay. All right, so our key findings: Black digital entrepreneurs are different from the traditional businesses or old businesses. They are likely to be more profitable and are enjoying longevity. 77% of the businesses that we surveyed said, or the owners that we surveyed, stated that they are running profitable digital businesses. Is that surprising to anyone?
Yes.
It was surprising to us too, right? Because the current narrative, one, for Black entrepreneurs is that we're not creating profitable businesses. And we were able to kind of challenge that a little bit. And if you think about, and we go back and look at who represented our survey or our sample, and a lot of them, one, they are a part of resource organizations such as yourself. And so they're able to have access to different resources, funding opportunities, collaboration opportunities, things of that sort. And so those type of resources that you may not get if you're not aligned with some type of organization may hinder your success, especially early on. So those are some of the things that we have to factor in as well.
Yeah, I feel like so often it's about who you know, not necessarily what you know. And then on
Absolutely.
top of that, I think that sometimes it's an assumption that, and I was just talking to a coworker about this earlier today, is that sometimes we would go to a conference like Allegiant World and you would see another individual of color. And then sometimes you're like, oh, well, you know what? I wonder if they've got it all together. Or, you know what, why are they hesitant to maybe join an organization, even like ours, again, where you could be surrounded by other individuals who look like you and others who support you. Instead, they kind of stay off to the side and don't join in. And I wonder if they felt as though if they knew that 77% of us actually had profitable businesses, I feel like they would run to us opposed to kind of shy away. So it says something, and I wish that we could get that narrative out there so that this false per se narrative would go away.
Absolutely. Also within the survey, 56% of those businesses have been in operation for at minimum 5 years. So again, not only are they building profitable businesses, but there's also that narrative that businesses aren't lasting or shutting down or aren't able to sustain longer than 5 years. And we were able to prove that that's incorrect, at least within our sample, that over 50% are sustaining longer than 5 years.
Thank you for sharing these statistics. What are we holding questions to the end? I'm sorry.
However you guys want to do, I'm fine with you can ask questions now and we can have a discussion. I don't like to be like the teacher, you know, we can have a conversation and yeah, so please feel free.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and jump in. Thank you for sharing these statistics. I think I wonder, I shouldn't say I think, I wonder whether the profitability that we see for digital entrepreneurs is for the maybe close to obvious reasons, right? If you're have a digital business, you may have different expenses than a brick and mortar business or a business where that involves a lot of overhead. And so, many businesses may have high dollar in sales, but we know sales isn't the same as profitability. So I wondered about that. And then also, I'm probably forgetting already. Digital profitability, operation. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it right there.
No, that's a
Because I
great,
can't remember.
and
Mhm.
and I believe I touched on it towards the end, but that's something that we did present to them for future studies. You know, if we want to continue to explore this, comparing a brick and mortar store versus a digital business, because we know that brick and mortar, like you mentioned, they have higher overhead costs. Also, they're more likely to have, you know, employees. A lot of entrepreneurs that we interviewed, they're either solopreneurs, they may have a co-founder, but they have a very slim team. They may hire, you know, a contractor here or there to focus on specific job functions. But when you're thinking about brick and mortar, um, it's a bit more challenging because you, like you said, you may have high sales, but you're not able to really offset that because of your expenses. Also, with digital, it presents the opportunity for at least your clients or the consumers to access your information quick or access your products or services quick. And there aren't any regional or distance barriers because everyone or
Yeah.
most people have computers, they have smartphones, whatever the case. So you're able to
Mhm.
expand your reach, your services, and your products.
Mhm. I wonder too if the quality of your population is heightened by some of the things that you pointed out in terms of memberships and networks, because I find oftentimes people will say, "Oh, yeah, I have a business," and it's like, well, what is your business? What is your product or your service? And it's like, well, you established an LLC. You don't really have a bit. You're not operating a business. You just established a business entity. But I wonder if because of the population that you focused on, that probably adds to the success in terms of profitability.
Yep. And so the unique thing about combining different research methodologies with the qualitative interviews, we're able to really dive into that a little bit with a survey. Now, granted, we had a survey of over 50 questions. So we had a description of what profitability meant to us. But we can't control how someone else interprets that. And that's not just with our survey, that's with any survey. It's up to interpretation. So when you think about profitability, I can't remember the exact definition, but it's, you know, um, is your revenue, you know, outpacing or over what your expenses are? Are you actually making a profit and you're not in the reds to that extent? And so if they're able to answer yes based off of what they feel, then they're able to select yes. But if they feel that their business is not profitable, yet they may be making money, but their overhead or their expenses is outweighing what they're able to make, then no. And then looking at some of the questions. And so we did not hone in on whether it's small businesses or startups. So we had a combination of both small businesses and startups. I think it's focused on small businesses in general. Yeah, so we did not focus on small businesses versus startups. We invited everyone who considered or qualified under those what I showed you before, that they're a founder, and all of those other qualifiers. I'd like to know what challenges, barriers entrepreneurs face before they decide to start their businesses. That's a great question. We did not go into what challenges they face before starting or before they decided to start. We did go in and discuss, and we'll come up or we'll show some of that information later on in the presentation, as well as you can access it in the report.
Hey, really quick, Taylor. This is Indala Booker. Hi, good to see
Hi,
you.
how are you?
Good. Listen, just one quick question about your data right here, which was the percentage of the profitable businesses. Was the percentage taken from the total number of surveys that came back, or was the percentage taken from the answers to that particular question? You know what I mean?
From completed surveys, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, because I'm thinking like 77% profitable businesses, just based on what number that was taken from. Was it taken from total of responses for that question, or was it taken from total numbers of respondents, period?
Total number of respondents, period. We only included completed surveys in our findings.
Okay, because I was thinking about the fact that there may be some people who may not respond to the question based on different parameters or, different variables.
No, this was a required question.
Okay, good. Okay, thanks.
So just getting an idea of who completed the survey again, our median age was 35. 79% of our respondents were considered millennials within the millennial demographic, followed by Gen X. Gen Z was third, and then baby boomers were at 1%. Again, which isn't surprising, being a part of the millennial generation. We grew up with the birth of, and so a lot of millennials are able to adapt really quickly to new technologies and are able to really understand the parameters of digital entrepreneurship.
So, Matt, I know I'm a little younger than you are, but what category do we fall into? Am I Gen X? I'm not millennial, I don't think anymore, right? I can't remember. How do you determine?
You're Gen X. You're Gen X.
Gen X. Gen X. Thank you. Okay, understood. Just trying to give it. And Matt didn't even smile on that one. Okay, understood.
Did we uncover any investor opportunities that were available to entrepreneurs? So we did not interview any investors. We did have some investor questions for our survey participants to understand, have they participated or accepted any type of investments within their financials, or if they participated in any grants, accelerator programs where there was some type of prize or investment opportunity, and some of the pros and cons of those opportunities with investments. So understanding the gender break, 58% of our co-founders, or excuse me, of our participants were male versus 42% female. We did see some advantages towards males, or some differences from males to females. One being that males tend to skew more of having co-founders, and so they weren't solo entrepreneurs with their digital endeavors. Also, they were more likely to reach profitability faster, not knowing whether that meant or that was due to them having co-founders or not. But that was just some of our findings, that they were reaching profitability faster, as well as they had a higher positive net worth for their personal net worth. Also, on a personal level, they were more likely to be married, as well as having a higher household income. For the females, of course, being solo entrepreneurs, which wasn't surprising. Sean, we kind of talked about this earlier, women were wearing our capes. And so also something that was not surprising, they're likely to be more self-funded instead of applying or receiving investments or grant opportunities. As well as they're less likely to participate in those accelerator programs or pitch competitions.
So Tayler, I remember when you first presented this, these particular facts, I thought it was incredible. I wonder what keeps, what's the why? Why are more of the women solo founders and not doing it in conjunction with other women? Why are they solely self-funded when you would think that they could go and particularly, and get that money as well? Why is it that, again, the majority of them being single, but once they get married, they are, again, just incredible findings. I wish we knew the whys behind the answers, some of them.
Yeah, and that's some of the recommendations that we provided as we continue to really explore this area, is really understanding and diving into some of the gender differences, and understanding, one, why that is, and then two, action oriented, finding a resolution. How can we help these female Black entrepreneurs to collaborate a bit more, to because it's not an introduction of not knowing about accelerator or grant programs, but how can we encourage them to participate more? Is there an intimidation factor where, or it could be, time management. Do they not have the time or the resources in order to participate? Because if anyone has participated in any type of program, that it's an extremely heavy lift. And because they are solo founders and they're pretty, stretched thin, they may not have the bandwidth in order to actually participate and fully engage within those programs. So those are some of the areas that we're looking to explore potentially in our next study. Digital entrepreneurship is a way to help narrow the racial wealth gap, and Black entrepreneurs are enjoying the success and utilizing it to help fund they're utilizing it to really help build their personal wealth and utilizing other programmatic resources. So within our findings, this is the total population, not specifically to any gender or demographic. 84% of our survey participants reported a positive net worth, personal net worth. 74% said that they are living comfortably. 72% are able to pay themselves a salary, and 23% have secured VC funding. Wanting to really dive into the first three for a second before I go into the VC funding. Again, these statistics were really shocking to us, because again, you hear the narrative that, one, Black businesses aren't thriving. You hear about all of the financial disparities that the Black population deals with. And being a founder, being a startup, it is extremely hard to pay yourself a salary. Now, are you paying yourself market rate? We don't know that. These were just general questions. Are you able to pay yourself a salary? So however they determine what their salary is, if they 72% said that they were able to do that. And 74% said that they were able to live comfortably. Now, what they define comfort versus what I define comfort or what you define comfort, again, don't know. These are just very general questions. So if they feel that they're comfortable with whatever salary they are able to provide, then that's what that is. Any questions? Nope, I think we're good. Okay. The last one, securing VC funding, 23%. And so this question has come up a lot because, again, in the media, you hear the narrative of less than 1% of Black founders receive VC funding, of the total VC funding. And so that's not to contradict that. This says that 23% of Black founders that we surveyed have received VC funding. Now we're still getting small percentages. We're not getting, the 6, 7, figures, 8 figures that a lot of other or founders are receiving, but we are receiving something to help us move the needle with our businesses and to be able to really build and scale. We did not ask how much they've received. So again, I don't know. VC funding Yep, and that's why I had to really explain that because again, the narrative right now, especially over the last few years, has been 1%, 2%. So there's a huge VC bucket pool of money. We're only receiving 1% of that as a community. However, the folks that we interviewed or surveyed, 23% of them are getting a percentage of that 1%.
But also, I think to that point, you have it where keep in mind that this is a particular industry. So this is not just all Black entrepreneurs for a baking company or, again, a dry cleaners. This is for, these digital marketers. And so I think a lot of times VCs they tend to put more money into, industries like the ones that we have and that are represented on this call here. Because
Exactly.
again, right now we have a good control of our overhead. A lot of us work remotely, things of that nature. So with that in mind, when you can, in an industry that you can control a good portion of your expenses, VCs tend to get behind those even more. So I wasn't as surprised as far goes the higher percentage, but we might be the biggest in as far goes positive positioning compared to all other entrepreneurs who especially who have brick and mortar.
Absolutely. Last but certainly not least, this was actually not a part of our initial study, but mental health came up several times when we conducted our qualitative interviews. And so we added it to the survey. Black digital entrepreneurs, and I don't think it's just specifically for Black digital entrepreneurs, I think it's for anyone, any type of entrepreneur. They find value in access to mental health support. 45% are currently receiving some type of mental health support, whether that's seeing or seeking therapy, doing some type of outside resource. They're utilizing mental health services, as well as 61% said that they would be willing to participate in some type of therapy or counseling session if their accelerators programs that they participated in offered that, which was a really strong and important statistic specifically for our client, Black Innovation Alliance, as they're looking to find resources and groups and best ways to support their founders and their resource groups outside of just funding and connections. How can we support our founders in a mental state to ensure that their wellness is that they're in a good wellness state, and that they're continuing and they're able to continue to grow. So this was an interesting and really important statistic for us in order to share with them as they're looking to build out their programmatic support over the next year or so.
Love it.
So those were just some of the highlights that we presented to our clients. Any questions on what was shared?
No, well, I think one of the questions that I have, and I can let everybody else to please chime in and raise your hand, and you can call talk right after. Is this first and foremost? This survey going to be done on an annual basis, or do they lock in for 2024?
We are considering it. This is, and that will kind of go into our recommendation, some of the areas that we want to explore more based off of what we're able to find. I do believe that they will conduct another study and likely to partner with us again. Um, so not sure which direction they're going to go as far as where they want to explore next, but it's also based off of their sponsor. Last year's sponsor was the Walmart Foundation. And so they were really focused on diving into those specific domains and understanding the what Black founders, Black digital entrepreneurs are looking for, where they are, and then ways that they can support them. But I will keep you posted if when I find out.
Appreciate it, because I would love to give you a listing of pretty much probably about 90% of the people on this call, and
Yes,
would love to sit back and see what how they could add to that survey as well. I think that would be great.
absolutely.
Excellent.
So our 3 recommendations for Black Innovation Alliance, Black digital entrepreneurs, one, need still need smarter funding. If you dive into the report, again, I was able to show you that 23% have access VC funding. Our survey participants have participated in accelerators and grant opportunities. However, when we dive into just some of their experiences, they talk about helping them not only just receive the money, but ways to manage it better, helping them with contract negotiations, helping them with corporate partnerships, helping them to negotiate what their partnerships look like, because a lot of them experienced um, discrepancies where their colleagues or their peers within their industry may be making more than them. And I mean, this isn't um, specific to just Black entrepreneurship. We know that we experience this across any industry where we're fighting for fair wages, fair pay, fair deals. And so these are ways that our support groups, our allies can support them with um, getting smarter funding, as well as making sure it's equitable funding. Also, Black digital entrepreneurs need innovative programming. And so a lot of the accelerator programs, the grant programs, they say the same thing, you know? And so um, if you're a new business entrepreneur, you know, they explain to you how to set up your LLC, you know, how to apply for this grant, how to do that. But what some of the entrepreneurs mentioned was, one, having innovative programming, but for different stages. So if you're past the entrepreneur or the initial funding stages, you've already applied for specific grants, you've won an accelerator, or you've won some type of VC. How do you get to the next stage? And so having it kind of staggered or staged based off of where you are on your entrepreneur journey. And last but not least, Black digital entrepreneurs needing that holistic support, which boils down to the mental health services. And so understanding that, as you guys know, entrepreneurs, it can be mentally exhausting. You're working long hours, you're building something, you know, it's tiring. You're eating lunch at your computer, you're not taking any breaks, you're not really focusing on your self-care. So how can we support our entrepreneurs not only build their businesses, but ensure that they're building themselves and they're getting that support that they need in order to sustain across the board. And so, and they're not crashing. One of the findings that we found when we did our literature review, there's a high rate of suicide within entrepreneurs just because of burnout. And so, how can we reduce that number? And how can we help support entrepreneurs to take breaks, to understand their boundaries, and to really just pour into themselves so that they don't experience that burnout?
Can I add a fourth recommendation?
Absolutely.
No, I think, organizations like Blacks in Performance Marketing is ideal for entrepreneurs or digital entrepreneurs to be a part of. As we're not all Black people that are here in this group, but we're also comprised of allies as well, and those that can provide additional support within kind of this digital entrepreneur community. So my fourth recommendation would be, bringing together people in organizations that allows them to network with one another to kind of go through these experiences together. Oftentimes, we are all having these conversations about similar challenges. And when we find out that we're all going through similar things, oftentimes others have solutions that, one may never have thought of. So the networking opportunities that organizations like this bring together, really makes digital entrepreneurship just that much more rewarding.